Racket number one, GaryVee, the golden boy of marketing, Gary Vaynerchuk, has completely slammed home ownership. This, by the way, is right off of the heels of his conference, Agent 2021, where he's got, real estate agents, mortgage people, insurance, and travel agents coming to the conference.
I think he got rid of the travel agents.
No, they were still there.
Oh, they were?
Yeah. We went to Agent 2021.
It was amazing.
The first year in 2018. It was a really well done. It was a one-day conference.
So fun.
This year, they had year number 2. We did not go. I know, like Tom Ferry, who, I'm a big part of the Tom Ferry. We are a big part of the Tom Ferry ecosystem. He wasn't there in year 2. That's certainly a lot of the people that I network with across the country in real estate. Less of them went, I think, because of the Tom Ferry influence in year 2. I certainly saw that. There doesn't mean there wasn't a lot of real estate people there. It certainly wasn't as big as, say, a Tom Ferry conference or as some of these other real estate conferences again in year 2, like the attendance.
Okay, I don't know. I didn't look into the attendance.
Well, year 1 you were there.
It was fun.
It was great.
It was so fun.
But there was about 800 people there year 1.
I think what made it so fabulous, and we're totally going on a separate topic here, but what was so amazing was you had no idea what to expect. I mean, walking out on Dolphin Stadium was like...
So listen, we both thought there was a lot of great content. He's done it now for 2 years. Well, a couple weeks after this year's Agent 2021, there was a clip on Instagram, and everybody is reacting to a clip.
Right.
We're going to play the clip for you right now where GaryVee slams home ownership.
I do not think the American dream should be buying a home anymore. I think it's full of shit.
Tell me more of that shit.
It's fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
It's a bad use of upfront capital, and it ties you up.
Correct.
And it's just not smart.
It's not going to appreciate not the way you want it.
And what is it for? Like, I'm pissed that I own a home.
Yeah.
I would literally rent in perpetuity now. And I will. Like, I've decided, like, I will never buy another new home.
So, after hearing GaryVee's clip off of a podcast or an interview that he was doing, is this a racket, GaryVee blasting home ownership for the American people? Nicole White, it's your answer.
So we were talking about, if we're just talking specifically about the clip.
What's your response? What's your reaction?
Well, I mean, I own a home. It is, in my mind, it's still very much the American dream. I believe in it. Again, I also own a home that's been in my family for over 40 years. So like I continue to sort of reinvest in, I feel like, my future, my kids' future. I own another home that I rent out. I mean, I guess that's not really home ownership, but anyway,
what do you mean that's
because it's a rental property. It's like an income property, but that house was supposed to be sold, but I couldn't, so now I'm renting it. But I think that it's really interesting because I think that a lot of people are also getting into homes with super low amounts of money down. So I don't think it's really holding up much capital, to be honest, especially like if you're getting into a home when you're super young, for you to then be able to potentially pull that money out of your home and say 15, 20 years to do other things with it. That to me is a great investment. I mean, again, most of my buyers are going into their homes with 3% down, 3.5% down. Some people are doing 0% down with like a DAP program. I mean,
here's a Tom Ferry tweet to GaryVee, and Tom Ferry is a huge fan of GaryVee.
Right,
we know that
most people are.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a huge GaryVee fan too. Yeah.
And Swab, maybe we can pop up the Tom Ferry tweet as well in here. So Tom tweeted directly at GaryVee. GV. Check the stats on 65-year-olds that bought a home and those who didn't. It's basically $300K net worth to $6K net worth on average. So he's talking about people that have made it their most of their working lives. They get to 65. The ones that have home ownership, they're worth $300K or more. And then the other ones are worth about $6K. So 49% of Americans rent. They're in that $6K net worth category when they get to 65. So Tom says, and the wealth isn't there for people who are renting, those 49%. He goes, Gary, for you and for me, meaning Tom, he gets it, right? Like, because they're investing so much in the business.
Right.
But for every 20/30-year-old out there, hashtag buy a home.
Right.
He went on to make another tweet, part 2. Regardless of historic data, which obviously shows the power of home ownership, The simple truth is people don't save money.
Right.
So people don't save.
This is like a forced way of saving money.
But
for
they
sure.
make their house payment. So owning gives you forced savings, creates equity.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's the angle you're taking, right?
100%. I mean, yeah.
So you think his comments were a racket?
I do think his comments are a racket. Again, I mean, once I heard your point of view, which you're going to probably go off on a wild tangent, there's going to be so many lines. I do understand your end too. So if you want to get in on that.
And here's the thing. A lot of agents are going to disagree with me on this. But here's where I think Gary was taken out of context.
But I feel like he took himself out of context.
It sounds like, now, to be honest, I didn't watch, and I'm sure this is an hour podcast or a half-hour podcast, and we're all commenting here in Twitterverse and on Instagram on literally 20 seconds, 40 seconds. It's a 43-second clip that we just watched.
Right.
We're commenting on that.
Well, but that's also what he gave us.
And we're going to link up the Inman article. If you read this Inman article, it says that he came out of nowhere with this. And that it says his comments on the January podcast about homeownership were initially unprompted. So, but here's what I think. He has so much going through his head, and Gary Vaynerchuk's audience is entrepreneurs. It's people that want to start a business or get their life together and get their mindset together where they can start a business.
Right.
So I've got to believe, I'm going to give, because I think the dude has done so much for people that are starting a business and are marketers and all this kind of stuff. I'm going to give him